She never wanted this life, never wanted her name forced onto papers that sealed her, away like a prisoner in a cage disguised as marriage. Yet the men around her, her cruel father, and the greedy stranger who fancied himself her husband, cared nothing for her tears or her trembling hands as she sat before her, the ink and quill, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Please, don't make me." But in a town where power was held by men with cold eyes and gold in their pockets, her pleas fell like rain on hard, dry ground, ignored and forgotten, until the sound of heavy boots striking against the wooden floor split. The air and every head turned toward the doorway where he stood, the cowboy, broad-shouldered, dust clinging to his hat, his jaw hard with rage and his eyes lit with fire that made the whole room still. She gasped when she saw him, because in him she had once found kindness when the world had given her none. In him she had once found laughter by the river where she wept. And now here he was, standing like a storm in the doorway of her captivity. The groom's hand slammed down on the table, trying to show dominance, shouting, "She belongs to me now." It's signed and sealed, but before her tears could even dry, the cowboy strode forward, grabbed the papers from under her shaking hands, and with a rip that thundered louder than any gunshot in that silent room, he tore them in half, then into shreds, his voice cutting through the silence like steel as he growled, "She's mine forever, and no man, no paper, no law made by the greedy and cruel can take her from me." Gasps rippled. Men reached for their guns, but the cowboy's hand was already resting on the worn grip at his side, his gaze unshaken, daring them to try. And for a moment the room knew that even if every man here drew steel, none would leave without tasting his wrath. The girl's heart hammered, not with fear but with hope, the kind she had not dared to feel for so long. And when he reached out his hand to her, she took it, trembling but strong, and he pulled her against him, his voice softening for her alone. "You're free now. You'll never be forced again." The greedy groom sputtered and cursed, vowing revenge, but his words sounded hollow against the roar of a man who had chosen love over everything else. And when they pushed through the doors into the sunlight, the whole town was watching, whispers spreading that maybe courage was worth more than gold. Maybe love was stronger than contracts written by hands that never knew mercy. As he lifted her onto his horse and swung up behind her, holding her close as though the whole world could try and still never take her away, she pressed her cheek against his chest, whispering through tears, "I thought I'd lost everything." And he answered, with the quiet certainty only a man who means every word can carry, "You'll never lose me. Forever means forever." The horse carried them away, dust rising behind them, leaving the broken papers scattered in the wind, as proof that love can defy chains, that courage can break every cruel bind, and that sometimes all it takes is one soul refusing to let go to change a life forever. So, dear listener, if this story moved your heart, if you believe in love that fights, in freedom that can't be bought, then don't just watch. Stand with us, subscribe to this channel, and join a family that believes in stories of courage, hope, and love that conquers everything. Because together, we'll keep bringing you tales that remind you to never give up on what truly matters. The road out of town was long and lonely, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel like a prisoner of fate. She felt like a woman reborn, her spirit no longer caged by forced signatures or the cruel plans of others. For every beat of the horse's hooves beneath her was a promise of freedom, and every heartbeat she felt against the cowboy's chest was a vow of forever. Yet even as the wind rushed through her hair and the open plain stretched wide, she knew danger wasn't gone, because men like the one she had been forced toward didn't let go of their pride, their greed, or their hunger for control. The cowboy knew it too. His eyes scanned the horizon, his hand never far from the iron at his hip. But his voice was calm when he spoke to her, telling her that she was safe, that nothing would take her from him again, that sometimes you had to fight the world to keep what your heart knew was right. They stopped by a quiet stream that night, stars glittering above them like diamonds spilled across the heavens, and she sat close to him, her hands still trembling from the storm of the day, confessing her fears that her father would come, that the man would hunt them, that the world would never let them be. The cowboy took her hands in his, strong and calloused but gentle, and told her a truth she never thought she'd hear. They can come with their laws, with their gold, with their guns, but they don't have my heart. And that's what matters, because my heart is yours, and I'll fight every day to prove it. She leaned against him then, tears falling, but not from sorrow, from the overwhelming grace of being loved without conditions, of being chosen when her whole life had told her she was nothing but a bargaining piece. But just as peace settled, the sound of hooves cracked the night, shadows moving in the dark, and torches flaring against the sky. They had been followed. The greedy groomsmen, half-drunk and desperate, stormed into the clearing, shouting that she was still bound by family, that she was still theirs to claim. But before fear could choke her, the cowboy was already on his feet, gun drawn, his voice thundering like Judgment Day itself. "You'll not touch her. Not now, not ever." The standoff burned hot, the night thick with tension, and though shots fired, the cowboy stood like an unbreakable wall, his aim steady, his will stronger than any number they sent against him. When the smoke cleared and silence returned, the groomsmen scattered like cowards into the night, leaving only the crackle of the fire and the echo of his promise still hanging in the air. She rushed to him, terrified he'd been hurt, but he caught her in his arms, holding her so tight she thought nothing could break them apart, whispering with steady breath, "I told you, forever." And in that moment, forever no longer felt like a word written on paper. It was alive in the way he shielded her, in the way he fought for her, in the way he looked at her like she was not property,